What up? Today we're talking about episode 79 of Dragon Ball Super, Universe 9's kicker Basal versus Universe 7's Majin Buu. I'm gonna try the Japanese title. Daikyu Uchu Keri no Bajiru Basasu Dai Nana Uchu Majin Buu. This episode was badass to say the least. I'm not a big fan of Majin Buu. To be honest with you, he's probably one of my least favorite characters. Ever since he first appeared in Dragon Ball Z, not my favorite. This really made me like Majin Buu. The way his fight went down, the way he was taking those hits, the way they utilized the powers of his body was excellent. There was really some character development in it. It was just really awesome. So in episode 78, we left off with Majin Buu getting kicked to the ground, and of course, Universe 9 was like gloating on how strong they were and how they beat him already. Well, of course we know that he's not beaten already. So of course Majin Buu gets up, they fight a little bit, and I really like Basal too. I really like how he is only a kicker. Like his strengths are in his legs. He's really fast, and he only kicks. It's really interesting, and it's really interesting how he utilizes those techniques with his legs. And especially the part where he does his special move where he powers up his legs and like shoots those blasts at Majin Buu. I thought that was really cool. And I actually hope that we get to see more of that in the future, but you know, I'm not gonna get my hopes up on that. But the fight itself with Basal like kicking around Majin Buu, I really liked how they utilized the powers of Majin Buu and like how flexible his body was, and like when Basal kicked Majin Buu, I think it was like one of the first hits where he kicked him like up in the air and Buu's like legs stayed on the tournament floor and his whole body went up. That was awesome. And then he goes up and like kicks his head and his head like stretches back, kind of like I don't know, like a Gumby or something like that. And then when Basal used his special attack when he powered up his legs, like Majin Buu had that hole in his stomach. That was really cool, and it's really interesting fighting in a really interesting way to like portray this battle. And I'm really liking how Super is going with this fight, and I hope they keep it up in the future with these fights and showing off these interesting techniques and these interesting characters and showing like how different they are and really separating each character and each fighter and their techniques from each other. And you definitely feel the impact of these kicks on Buu. Like the sound design in this is spot on. Like the music in the background, the impact of the kicks, and the impact of when Buu hits Basal, and the destruction of the ring. Like this fight was spot on. And I really liked how the fight wasn't too easy for either one of them. Like it kind of went back and forth a little bit. Like it could have easily been Basal's kicking Buu around, and then Buu says, okay, I'm bored now, I'm going to beat you. They could have easily gone that route, but I'm really glad that they didn't, and I'm really glad that each of them utilized each other, like their techniques to their full potential. That part where Buu like did his full power blast against Basal after Basal like ate that pellet and powered up, like that was awesome. And he had like the electricity around him, and he was still standing, but of course after a bit like it was too much for him to handle. I liked how that fight ended there. And it's also interesting that they can't sense the key of this Universe 9, which is interesting because we can see that they have some type of energy. They have energy because he's powering up his legs and he's got like an aura and he's like flying and stuff like that. Or at least it seems like he is. So it's interesting that they can't sense him. They're obviously not using ki, maybe? But it actually reminded me of the Yuuzhan Vong from Star Wars, the Star Wars novels, and how the Jedi couldn't sense them through the Force because they were kind of void of the Force because they were like from a different galaxy or something. It really reminded me of that, and I really liked that aspect of that because it means that the fighters going forward fighting these Trio de Dangers, that's a really awesome title and brings me back to like 80s over-the-top action movies for some reason. And I really like how they're going to need to rely only on their senses and not their sensing of their foes, because they definitely rely on that a lot and have relied on that a lot in the past. And it'll also open the door for more interesting techniques to be used in the future and them not just like sensing their energy past it. Like in the next episode, it looks like Gohan is going to be blinded, so he's probably going to have to rely on like his senses, because he can't sense their ki. He's going to have to rely on basically hearing his opponent, or like feeling vibrations on the ground when he's running or something like that. And speaking of character development and character interactions within this, with Buu especially, and Mr. Satan, that had to be one of Buu's most badass moments of all time. Getting angry when Mr. Satan was hurt, because they're like such good friends, and Buu's like, "Don't hurt my Satan!" And Buu like gets all pissed off and kicks the shit out of Basil. That was so cool. Like, that really made me like Buu a lot more, for sure. But aside from the fight itself, it's really interesting how the tournament rules are going to be basically whatever Zeno says. Like, if he's liking the fight, continue the fight. If he's not liking the fight, then do something more to make the fight more entertaining. So weapons are not out, like outside interference seems like it's not going to be out. The rules are just kind of up in the air, basically. And I think that's actually kind of a smart move from a writing perspective, because now they can just interject anything they want within the fights, and it'll really keep things fresh and keep things going without being limited to, if you go out the ring then you lose, if you kill your opponent you lose. So it seems like killing is not out either, which is going to add even more tension to this, because if one of our main characters goes up against a fighter, they could potentially die because it's not against the rules. I also like Universe 9's Supreme Kai. He's kind of like this psychotic person. Who would have thunk that a Supreme Kai would be like not like Universe 7's Supreme Kai? And like, I mean, of course we had Zamasu, who hated mortals, but now we got this like insane asylum Supreme Kai. It's awesome. And he's so proud of his trio de dangers, and I'm really liking these guys. But overall, I think this was a really strong episode. The action was great, the character moments were great. It really helped to set up future events in the Tournament of Power, and I really hope they keep up with these interesting fights and interesting techniques and keeping the audience at the edge of their seat, basically. Although I was really hoping to see the Candy Beam in this, maybe in the future. But I'm really hoping to do more of these every week, episode reviews every week. I might go back to review episode 1 through whatever, or I might do the whole arc reviews. But coming up in the future, I'm actually going to start reviewing each arc of Dragon Ball on up through Z as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I will see you in episode 80. See y'all later.